DNATv మన రాష్ట్రం మన ఛానల్.
My name is Bhaskar. I am the Secretary for Information Technology. I also take care of the startup ecosystem across the state for all sectors. We have an institution like yours called Ratan Tata Innovation Hub, named after a great businessman and visionary in India who recently passed away. To honor his memory, we call it Ratan Tata Innovation Hub. It's an innovation hub where ideas, however small the ideas are, we nurture them and we ensure that no idea dies and it actually becomes a good product or a service. That is what we do at the Ratan Tata Innovation Hub. I think I'll briefly take you through a presentation. A great product or service, so every family should become part of an entrepreneurship journey. And what we have done is that ours is a fairly large sized province. Comparison in terms of population, we are as large as Korea, and we are one state which the population, young population, is of a very great majority. 71% of our population is in the working age. So, and it's a growing younger population, so we have those opportunities. So we have not put our ecosystem at one location, but we have spread it across the state. That's what we say, that inclusive ecosystem which takes care of all sectors, all population demographics. And we also work in what is called applied research and entrepreneurship. Large amount of public-private partnerships work on. So our target that we are looking at is that in a journey in the next 3 years, we are looking at 20,000 startups to actually become good companies, and about 100,000 jobs being created through these startups. That's what we are looking at. So our approach is, one is the high innovation, second is also a very large scale mass entrepreneurship where everybody becomes an entrepreneur. As I said, hub and spoke model, and we are looking at 10 centers of excellence, 5 at the main hub which is in our capital city, and 1 each in our regional spokes which are very equal distance. That means for any startup to access the startup ecosystem, we are available within a distance of roughly 80 to 100 kilometers. They should be able to come in and bring their idea into our offices. Of course, they are available virtually, but physically also within that distance they can do. And we are one state which is very high on using technology in governance. So we work with the government departments, and this is a continuous process. Every week we get problem statements from the government departments. Government department comes to us and says that I have a particular problem. So the agriculture season is going on, and this season the anticipated El Nino effect is going to have an effect on agriculture. So are there any solutions? This is what they asked us 2 weeks back. So we use our data sets, so we have access to the latest satellite imagery, and we have drones available, drone footage available. We have IoTs, sensors. The companies, or the startups produce a small proof of concept. We select the best of them, and then we ask them to scale up. So that is how we call government tech challenges. And the successful companies which produce a good solution are allowed to scale up. That's what we do. They did not go through a long, laborious procurement procedure. So you win a hackathon, that means now you're guaranteed a project, and then you go to the next step of scaling it up. So we make it quite easy for a company to really come to a solution. Our idea is that why would somebody innovate and come up with a solution, and then for scaling up you really have to struggle. So it is guaranteed at the initial stage itself. And these are the locations. As I said, the red dot is at the center. And the other thing, as I said, 80 to 100 kilometers, our offices are available for anybody to access from the northernmost to the southernmost to the westernmost districts are available. And the headquarters central hub take care of the strategy and policy, and the regional spokes take care of the local activities as well as the very specific kind of innovations. Our state has some regional specialities. There are one locations which are good at agriculture, one location which is very good at producing of fish and shrimp. In fact, we lead India in terms of a lot of agricultural products, a lot of marine and a lot of fish and a lot of shrimp products. So those areas specialize on innovation challenges and that kind of an ecosystem. There are areas which are very good in manufacturing. We have shipbuilding, both civil and defense shipbuilding are there in my state. That spoke specializes in that products and that solutions. We have areas which are good in manufacturing automobiles. So the spoke at that location, as you can see, the westernmost spoke takes care of those kind of sectors and all. But they're not restricted to that. Anybody can walk in any of the spoke and with the idea. But the spokes also specialize on certain kind of products because the ecosystem required, the kind of people who are there, mentors who are there in the spokes are also specialized. If I speak about what we do, we have a very specific life cycle. As you can see, program, it starts with an exploration, goes to pre-incubation, incubation and acceleration. It's the industry standard. That's what you also do here. We follow a similar kind of a life cycle management. So these are the 4 programs that currently we do. Basically, Spark is an idea exploration. That means if somebody has an idea, great idea, very initial idea, great idea, we also work with them. We work with them ideas, see how the idea can be converted into a solid kind of a pitch and so that it could be shown and it could be produced before the next round of exploration and all. Then we have another program called Future Foundations, where from ideation, in about 6 weeks from ideation we take that to a basic prototype. So that's ideas coming in Spark, it converts into a Future Founders program, whichever are relevant. And then we have a Catalyst program, which is about 18 weeks program. This looks at how you make a prototype into a commercial kind of a product. Not all great ideas can be converted into a product or a service. So we try to ensure that this program does that, from a prototype to how a prototype may be good, but is it marketable? Is it financially viable? Is it useful in the way that the ideator thinks that it is useful, or it needs to be changed slightly or to a large extent to suit to the market, the quality to be improved, the pricing to be adjusted, and the utility to be more improved and all. That kind of a thing we do. And at this stage we look at funding for them, we look at tying up funds. We have also a large number of investors, angel investors and initial investors who take initial investors are those who take great risk and invest in very early startups. And then we have late stage funders who basically at a later stage where the quantum of investment is high and the number of companies is now becomes slightly smaller. So they focus on that. So different kinds of investors have different kinds of potential or appetite to take risk and also the kind of money they have. So we fit them into that. And then the final thing is that where from there stabilization, where after the funding stage, marketing support and product outreach support that we do. This is what we do, and what I've said is that the kind of facilities that we have advanced prototyping facilities and innovations we have, and The adjustments and the settlements also happen on real time. So you send me money to you, it's in your account at that instant second. Electronics deep tech that we have. This is again, there's a lot of funding in the last 7-8 years. The federal government has been pumping in a lot of money through what we call the PLI scheme, components to the products and the services. So these are what are the areas that we look. We also are looking at advanced manufacturing, including robotics. 100 gigawatts of clean energy as a target by 2030, and we are doing 160, and we are just 5% of the population of the country, but we are doing 1/3 of the clean energy in the country. I think it's subsidized by government and the banks. It costs us 150 crores.
Just a few things. Pretty much Bhaskar, I think, covered everything. He didn't leave much for me. But as just to add on to what he said, the cluster-based approach that we are doing would be different from our peer group. So very deep, meaningful relationships are getting built in each of these clusters. A great example of it, that is what we are doing in quantum. So quantum ecosystem, starting from getting the 150 qubit quantum computer to Andhra Pradesh, creating use cases on it, building the entire ecosystem around it, to actually material sciences, to eventually building the quantum computer itself in the state. So there are Government of India funds available, and we are going about it very systematically to build it. This is one cluster. So this is a deep tech cluster. We are doing this for drones, space, glass, even traditional sectors like cement, renewable energy, to medical devices manufacturing, pharma. So this is how we're going very systematically in building each of these clusters. So that is what differentiates us. That's what makes us unique. So that is the, if I may say, the base layer. And the other vision of our Chief Minister, as Mr. Bhaskar just stated, is one family, one entrepreneur. So how do you ignite that entrepreneurial spirit? It doesn't necessarily need to be in deep tech. It could be in beauty, it could be in fashion, it could be in different sectors. And that is actually a big thrust area. So we're working with Ratan Tata Innovation Hub, RTIH, is to build that out, create that spirit and guide them and hold them. Not all ideas need huge money. It also requires just clarity in terms of how do you incorporate a company. So RTIH along with EDB is now we're in the process of creating the platform, which will be done shortly, is even to incorporate a company, what are the 10 steps to do it from a web-based system. We're doing all that. So building all that ecosystem to make it easy, streamlined process. So what excites us is to look at opportunities how Korean companies can tap into the Indian market, the ecosystem, and vice versa. The second is whether there's an opportunity for us to build a joint program where we could provide a soft landing, and probably, of course, our teams will visit. I see that you have a program coming up. Our representatives from RTH will come. They would love to learn from what you are doing, and vice versa, your teams can come understand what we're trying to achieve. So we offer agriculture to quantum. So that way we are very unique as a state. So for us, every sector is important, and we do double down on every sector. We are doing one of India's largest preventive healthcare program. It's called Sanjeevani. And the idea is we get a lot of data, and then we are implementing an AI assistant. The idea is, someone who's pre-diabetic, or so on and so forth, right? How do you bring them back to normalcy? So dietary changes, lifestyle changes, to also taking advice. So we are actually building an AI model out. So we're working with startups, with the ecosystem out there. So that's what differentiates us. So there are practical examples of what we've already done. We are not just talking about a broad vision or a strategy. Quantum is an example, healthcare is an example of what we've come to achieve. So that's the background. And last point, I'm sure you've seen our marketing material, but speed is what differentiates us. While from handshake to shovel, our pace is something that India has not seen. So ArcelorMittal steel plant, 17 months from handshake to shovel. Google was 13 months, data centers. LG is about, handshake to shovel was far shorter. Handshake to commercial production is roughly about 18 months, 18, 19 months. From handshake to commercial production. I think October we're going to do commercial production. So that's the pace at which we are working. And we're working across sectors. So it offers unique opportunities for startups. That's one thing. Perfect.
So that's from Andhra Pradesh, what we do in startup ecosystem. Now we would love to hear from you how you see a partnership between startup hub of so with Andhra Pradesh, but on various levels which Bhaskar sir has already given a brief about both.
Thanks to your kind explanation, I can just deepen my understanding about what you do, and it's truly very impressive to know about your good merits. Because I was very impressed by your working population and population-based POC opportunities and your talents, and especially your government strong initiatives to help or support this startup and innovation ecosystem. And let me just briefly tell you about our Seoul City government startup and support programs. I'm just from Seoul Startup Hub Kongdong, and this is one of the biggest startup incubation facilities in Seoul. And it's begun 10 years ago, back in 2017. So next year we're going to have a 10th year anniversary. And we just have started this initiative to create more jobs. Confronting this financial economic crisis in 2008. And so city government has made a very aggressive, proactive initiatives by supporting startups. What we do as Seoul Business Agency, which is a government organization under the Seoul City government, is we have 7 missions. The first mission is fostering startup ecosystem at the Seoul government level, and the second is we just help Seoul-based SMEs going global and make their sales and generate some revenues in the global markets. And the third is we are running R&D grants, about 50 million R&D grants at the Seoul City government. And we are also cultivating some AI talent. So we have just established 25 AI talent cultivation centers across Seoul. And Seoul is very unique in terms of startup ecosystem. We have 2 pillars. One pillar is just a tech-based, startups. So out of 27 unicorns nationwide, 17 unicorns are from Seoul, areas. And these deep tech, companies are just, working very hard in Seoul. And on the other side, Seoul is very famous for, soft power, industries like K-culture, K-entertainment, fashion, beauty, etc. So one of our, two divisions of our organization are focusing on these beauty, K contents and fashion, and these kind of software industry sectors. So these are our 7 pillars that SBA is involved in. And when it comes to international cooperation at the level of the startup ecosystem, so city government has just established overseas hubs in Vietnam, in India, in Singapore, etc. So far, we have established 7 overseas hubs. So through these hubs, we just increase our mutual incorporation. And I'm in charge of doing some businesses with overseas counterparts, like governments and some businesses and overseas accelerators. And Gina, a unicorn incubator, she's one of the great partners focusing on India market, and she's just cooperating with us a lot. And so far we have, in case of 2025, we have collaborated with 23 overseas partners. The format we do is just acceleration for market soft landing, and the second phase is POC program co-development. So and the third one is just business development. So we just divide our support programs into three phases. So you just mentioned some joint cooperation programs, and I think it's fully possible. To find some mutual opportunities in the future. Especially, we are keenly interested in the POC sectors. As you just provide lots of data at the population level, right? So it's going to be very useful for our startups to find some opportunities, fine tuning into their own business fields. So we can just take a start from these POC or pre-POC programs. And also, as my co-workers here, we are just hosting a big startup festival every September. So this year we're gonna host Try Everything. This is the title of this startup festival. So if you just participate in this Try Everything festival, you can just meet lots of stakeholders in the startup ecosystem in Korea. Like not only startups, but also big corporations. Right, and the venture capitalists and some government level support organizations. So by just doing some sort of exchanges, through these programs, we can just consolidate our mutual cooperation in the future. So after this meeting, please just contact me, and we can design our cooperation programs for next year. Right. Thank you.
And for the outbound companies, if they're carrying some South Korean technology to, for example, India, for example, so will you be able to partner with an Indian company, be it a startup, to probably grow in Indian geography? Is that option worked out somewhere in any other geography, so that because RTH specialization is that they have a pool of startups who would need probably technology support from a tech giant like maybe something out of South Korea.
So this kind of joint initiatives
yes.
can be answered by Gina, because she's just taking care of this kind of joint cooperation program.
Thank you for providing this great opportunity to explain how Unicorn Incubator work to support Indian companies, startup companies, and Korean startup companies, SBA, to you. Actually, Unicorn Incubator is cross-border startup accelerating company based on the Seoul, South Korea. We are only focusing on Indian market for almost 10 years. Our main business partner is IIT Delhi, Kanpur, and Lopa, Jodhpur, and expanding our business network with IIT, because I know well IIT is how much smartest young people study in there, and there are 23rd IIT work based on in all of the world I know, and one of them also in the Andhra Pradesh, I think. And end of this table, there is my intern from IIT Kanpur, because we do many things with IIT Kanpur for supporting their. We work with SICC IIT Kanpur. It's the Startup Incubating Center. So we are looking for a deal to investment into a startup company which accelerated, incubated by IIT SIIT. And then also we collaborate with eCell of IIT Kanpur as well. So we are planning to launch their Upstart All India Startup Pitching Competition. First prize in Korea based on the Try Everything. And then last year, we signed the third-party MOU with SBA and our company and Startup Tamil Nadu as well for supporting both countries' startup company each other. So they invite Seoul startup company based on the Seoul metropolitan government to join their startup summit. So we bringing some huge delegation to be there, and we got the huge result from there, great result we got from there. So I think it's one of the practical example how SBA and Andhra Pradesh can collaborate each other for supporting this kind of two startup companies. And then as an accelerator only focusing on Indian market last for 10 years, my experience is Korea is a very much high technology, we have many, but India is more focusing and highly talented as a salesman and woman. So we learned two kind of accelerating program. One is focusing on the early stage companies, SME is not small company, already monetized companies based on their local market, and they want to expand their business scope to the other company, like other countries like India. So we called this name is India Korea Launchpad program. So we learned this program based on the IIT Delhi and Kanpur and several other accelerating company like based on Mumbai and Bengaluru and Hyderabad.